What makes South Africa one of the world's best tourist destinations? South Africa is one of the world's best tourist destinations, and for good reason. Easily accessible and with the most favorable exchange rate, for most international travelers, South Africa is attractive before you even know about all of the fabulous places you can see. And as for the places you can see here, you'll be absolutely astounded by the diversity of landscapes, cityscapes, and things to do during your visit. South Africa quite literally caters to every type of travel taste. And if you have some time to spare, you could, on just one trip to the country, spend days lazing on the quietest beaches, have a night out in the mother city, go on safari in the Kruger National Park to see the Big Five, and then indulge in a day spent driving through the winelands. It is a country that is home to everyone, and one trip here is hardly enough to temper your travel wanderlust. But that's okay. You can always come back for more. Why is South Africa famous for tourism? South Africa's reputation among the world's best tourist destinations is the kind that takes decades to build and maintain. It is built on contrast, on the particular way that is simply refuses to be pinned down to a single identity or, for that matter, a single place or attraction. Because honestly, where else can two people share a bottle of Chenin Blanc on a wine estate at noon, and then, the following morning, sit in absolute silence watching the matriarch of a herd of elephants move her family across the dry riverbed below their lodge deck? That is not a postcard or a fantastical daydream. That is just a Tuesday in South Africa. And the infrastructure that you'll find all over the country makes this kind of interactive holiday possible. Boutique hotels in Cape Town hold their own against anything in Lisbon or Copenhagen, and the country's game reserves operate with a conservation ethic that has nothing to do with marketing and everything to do with the desire to protect the nation's wildlife heritage. Roads across the country are for the most part well maintained. Rural roads can require a bit of off-road driving. Domestic flights connect regions efficiently, and the hospitality industry has long understood that international travelers arrive with high expectations. All of this, as well as the finer details, make South Africa famous for tourism. Is South Africa one of the world's best tourist destinations? The awards say yes, and there are few tourists who will argue otherwise. As one of the world's best tourist destinations, South Africa has plenty of places to see and things to experience that has easily become one of the best tourist destinations. Cape Town, in particular, is world famous amongst travelers. The city appears year after year in international travel surveys as one of the most beautiful cities on earth. Safari destinations also make the country one of the best places in the world for tourists. Lodges in private places like Sabi Sands and Madikwe regularly feature among the finest wildlife destinations on the planet. But awards and rankings only tell a part of the story. The real measure of a great destination is not scenery. It is what the place does to you after you leave. It is the radiating in the golden light across the Cape Peninsula at dusk, the particular stillness of the bush in the hour before sunrise, the way a guide can read the ground, and suddenly everything in the landscape becomes understandable and begins to tell the most fascinating story. And for travelers from the UK, US, and Europe, the value proposition of traveling to South Africa in 2026 are extremely attractive. The favorable exchange rates continue to make genuinely high-end experiences accessible in ways that feel, frankly, a little extraordinary, allowing for a luxury holiday that would be on par with a luxury trip in any European or American destination. Private guides, exclusive use, private villas, curated multi-destination itineraries, gourmet dining, and opulent activities available to international travelers are certainly not entry-level luxuries here, which is why South Africa is one of the world's best tourist destinations. How many tourists travel to South Africa? Every year, South Africa welcomed over 8 million international visitors in 2023, just as global travel found its feet again, with the number of arrivals continuing to strengthen through 2024 and into 2025. Projections for 2026 point towards ongoing growth, particularly from North American and European markets. What those numbers do not convey is how relatively uncrowded this destination remains. despite the millions of guests. On a game drive in a private reserve, the vehicle limit is typically 6 guests, while in the Kruger, private game drives can be customized with just 2 guests traveling in the vehicle, making it just perfect for safaris for couples. Beaches along the garden route and tours of the Cape Winelands on a midweek morning are generally quiet, helping to make South Africa one of the world's best tourist destinations. What are the best tourist cities in South Africa? As a top attraction and one of the world's best tourist destinations, Cape Town is where most international travelers begin their tour, and with good reason. Seeing places like the V&A waterfront, taking a cable car up Table Mountain, having lunch while gazing out over the Atlantic seaboard and visiting Bo-Kaap, all while staying in the finest accommodation is an exceptional way to start a tour. Durban is another of South Africa's best cities, and its warm, tropical atmosphere is most welcoming. The warm ocean, the food, and the culture, which has been largely shaped by one of the largest Indian communities outside of India, all make it worth seeing. Franschhoek, technically a village, punches well above its weight in terms of fine dining and wine, and Hermanus and its whale watching, June and November, that requires absolutely no superlatives to describe, are also some of the best cities in the country. Is a South African safari worth it? A safari is a must when visiting South Africa. The private reserves adjoining the Kruger National Park will give you some of the best wildlife sightings, many of which you'll have all to yourself, and you'll get to explore some of the continent's most beautiful ecosystems. Game drives are usually limited to a handful of guests, and there is never a hurry to be anywhere. And after the game drive, you'll get to return to a lodge that is private, exclusive, and exceptionally comfortable. Safari here also pair easily with other places. In a single trip, travelers can move from cosmopolitan Cape Town dining to open savanna without the trip ever feeling disjointed. That fluidity is part of what makes South Africa exceptional among long-haul destinations. Are there South African tour packages available? Yes, and the tour packages cover a wide spectrum of styles and tastes. Standard group tours exist and suit certain travelers well, but upper mid to luxury visitors increasingly prefer custom-made itineraries where the planning disappears entirely into the background, and what remains is just the experience. This means private transfers rather than shared shuttles, hand-picked boutique properties chosen for character rather than star ratings, and tour guides selected for their depth of knowledge about the specific regions and subjects the traveler cares about. Gastronomy, wine, wildlife, history, art, South Africa has it all. Is South Africa safe for tourists? South Africa has well-documented challenges, and crime in some city districts is real and should not be dismissed. Structured luxury travel makes South Africa safe for tourists. If you make a point of traveling with vetted transfers, staying in properties in established and secure areas, and going with guided experiences and reputable operators, you'll have peace of mind throughout your tour. How long do you need in South Africa? 10 to 14 days is enough to allow you to take your time to see a variety of places like Cape Town, the Winelands, and a private safari reserve. 3 weeks allows the Garden Route or KwaZulu-Natal's coastline to enter the picture without anything feeling squeezed. South Africa is a destination that will only punish you if you rush through it. Having an extra night in the bush, or making time for a second day in Franschhoek with no agenda beyond lunch and a winery walk, is worth more than ticking 3 more sites off a list. South Africa's standing among the world's best tourist destinations is not the result of a clever marketing campaign. It is earned season after season through the quality of its landscapes, the depth of its hospitality, the way it manages to be both genuinely wild and quietly civilized at the same time, and for all the potential it has to offer luxury guests. African Travel Concept designs journeys that take that potential seriously. Contact us to begin planning an itinerary that does this country the justice it deserves.